I was talking with a dear friend the other day, someone I've known for decades. We were sitting on her porch, watching the world go by, and she said something that really stuck with me. She said, I just don't feel like myself lately. It's not any one thing, just a feeling. Like the lights changing. She wasn't talking about the afternoon sun, she was talking about something deeper, something inside. And I thought, how many of us have felt that shift and didn't have the words for it? How many of us have seen a loved one change and wondered what it all meant? If you've ever had that feeling, or if you've noticed subtle changes in someone you care about, you're not alone. It's a conversation that often happens in whispers, if it happens at all. But bringing it into the light, understanding it, can be one of the most compassionate things we can do for ourselves and for those we love. That's what I'd like to do with you today, have an open, warm-hearted conversation about the natural course of a long life, specifically about some of the signs that can appear in the final 6 months. Now, I want to be very clear from the start, this isn't about creating fear or being morbid. Quite the opposite. It's about understanding, about preparing our hearts, and about ensuring that every single moment is met with the dignity, comfort, and love that every one of us deserves. Think of it like this. If you saw clouds gathering on the horizon, you wouldn't just ignore them. You might bring in the porch furniture, grab a sweater, or make a cup of tea to enjoy while you watch the rain. Understanding these signs is a little like that. It's not about fearing the storm, it's about knowing how to prepare for it, so we can be present and find peace throughout the entire journey. So, let's talk about a couple of these signs, not as frightening symptoms, but as gentle whispers from the body and spirit, telling us that a profound transition is nearing. The first sign is one that many of us might shrug off as just a normal part of getting older, but when it becomes pronounced, it speaks volumes. It's a profound and lasting fatigue, a deep-seated lack of energy that is very different from just feeling a little tired after a busy day. This isn't the kind of tired that a good night's sleep can fix. It's a fundamental need for more rest, where the body is beginning to conserve its energy for the most essential functions. You might notice someone who was always up and about, tending to their garden or going for a daily walk, now spending much more time in their favorite armchair. They may nap more frequently, and activities that were once simple and joyful may now feel like overwhelming tasks. This is the body's wise way of slowing down, of turning its attention inward. It's not laziness or a lack of interest in life, it's a natural, gradual release of the physical world. The kindest thing we can do when we see this is to honor it. Instead of pushing them to be more active, we can create a peaceful environment where rest is not just allowed, but cherished. Maybe that means bringing a book to read to them instead of expecting them to go out, or simply sitting quietly together, where the comfort is in the shared presence, not in the activity. Now, this leads us so naturally into the second sign, which is a gradual withdrawal from the world. This often happens hand in hand with that increased need for rest. It can start subtly. Perhaps they lose interest in reading the newspaper they've had delivered for 40 years. Maybe they no longer want to watch their favorite television program, or they seem disengaged during a phone call with a family member. This isn't about being rude or ungrateful, it's as if the spirit is beginning to loosen its ties to the people, hobbies, and concerns of this life. It's a process of letting go. They may seem more quiet, more reflective, or simply more distant. I remember a gentleman I knew, a vibrant storyteller who could captivate a whole room. In his last months, he became very quiet. At first, his family worried he was depressed, but when you sat with him, you could see a profound peace in his eyes. He wasn't sad, he was just turning his attention elsewhere. He was less interested in the chatter of the outside world and more focused on an inner landscape. This can be one of the hardest signs for families to understand, because we want to connect with them through the things they've always loved. But the most loving response is often to simply be there, without demands or expectations. To hold their hand, to sit in silence, to let them know through our quiet presence that it's okay to let go, that they are loved exactly as they are in this moment. And you'll often find that as this withdrawal from the world deepens, another, more tender change begins to surface, a change not in the body, but in the heart and mind. It's a shift in emotional needs and even in consciousness that can tell us so much about where they are on their journey. But that is a conversation for us to continue in just a little while. It's a profound thing, isn't it, to witness that quiet turning inward? To see someone we love beginning to loosen their grip on the world we share. And as that happens, we often see a beautiful, though sometimes puzzling, change in their emotional landscape. This is the third sign, and it's one that can bring as much comfort as it does concern. It's a shift in their social and emotional needs. You might find that someone who was always the social butterfly of the family, the one who organized every gathering, now seems perfectly content with just one or two visitors at a time, or even just a single, quiet companion. Large family events, which used to be the highlight of their year, may now feel overwhelming, even exhausting. The noise and the chatter, which once meant joy and connection, can now feel like an intrusion on a very personal, very sacred journey. This isn't a rejection of their family or their love. Not at all. Think of it instead as a refining of their needs. The quantity of social interaction becomes less important than the quality of the connection. A 5-minute visit where you simply hold their hand and tell them you love them can mean more to them now than a whole afternoon party. And along with this, you may notice their conversations begin to change. They might start talking more about loved ones who have passed on, almost as if they are present in the room. They may bring up old memories from their childhood with a clarity that surprises you, while perhaps struggling to remember what they had for breakfast. This is the heart and mind doing its important work. It's a process of life review, of tying up the loose ends of a lifetime of stories. It can be so valuable to enter into these conversations with them, to ask about that uncle they just mentioned, or that summer house by the lake they're remembering. By listening, you are honoring their entire life story. You are helping them make sense of it all. And sometimes, this process can bring a sense of peace and resolution that is visibly evident on their face. Other times, you might see a need for forgiveness, to forgive others, or to feel forgiven themselves. Creating a space where these feelings can be spoken aloud, without judgment, is one of the most precious gifts we can give. Now, this inward focus and the body's natural slowing down often lead to a fourth sign, one that is very physical and often very visible: changes in eating and drinking. This is one that families often find particularly difficult, because so much of our love and our culture is expressed through food. We show we care by baking a pie, by bringing over a favorite soup, by gathering around a table. So when a loved one starts eating significantly less, or loses interest in food altogether, it can feel like a personal rejection, or it can spark a great deal of anxiety. We worry they'll starve, that they're wasting away. But it's so important to understand what's truly happening here. As the body begins its final transition, its energy needs decrease dramatically. The complex process of digestion can become a burden on a system that is conserving all its resources for the heart and the lungs, for the essentials. The body is naturally beginning to shut down its non-essential functions. That wonderful lasagna you made, the one they used to rave about, may now simply be too heavy, too complex for their body to process. They may only want small bites of very simple, soft foods, a little applesauce, a spoonful of yogurt, a sip of broth. And eventually, even that may be too much. This is a natural part of the process. It is not starvation in the sense we think of it. Forcing food or drink at this stage can actually cause discomfort, even pain. The kindest approach is to follow their lead. Offer small, gentle options, but don't insist. Sometimes, a tiny spoonful of ice cream or a moistened cloth to their lips can provide more comfort than a full meal. It's about soothing, not about sustenance. It's about letting their body guide us, and understanding that this loss of appetite is a common and natural step on this path. And as the body continues this gentle process of release, we begin to notice changes that are even more specific, that speak to the body conserving its last reserves of energy. These final physical signs can be the most telling of all, and understanding them can help us provide the right kind of comfort and care. But that, my friend, is exactly where we will continue our conversation. It's remarkable, when you think about it, how the body has its own gentle wisdom, its own way of preparing for a journey. And as we've been talking about, these changes in energy, and social needs, and appetite, they're all part of that same, natural process. The body is slowly, gracefully, turning its attention to the most essential things. And this leads us to the final signs, which are very much about the body focusing its energy on the core of life itself. The fifth sign is often a noticeable increase in sleep, or a kind of drowsiness that seems to settle in. You might see this as someone sleeping much more during the day, becoming difficult to rouse from a nap. Their sleep and wake cycles might become confused, with them being more alert in the quiet of the night and sleeping soundly through the busyness of the day. This isn't just ordinary tiredness. This is the body directing all its remaining energy inward, to the work of the heart and the spirit. It's conserving every bit of strength. When they are awake, they might seem confused or disoriented, not quite sure of the time or who is in the room with them. This can be unsettling to witness, but it's so helpful to remember that this is a common and expected part of the process. The best thing we can do during these times is to be a calm, peaceful presence. Speak in a soft, clear voice, remind them of who you are and that they are safe. Your presence alone, even if they seem to be sleeping, is a profound comfort. They are aware of you on a level that goes beyond simple wakefulness. And this brings us to the final sign, one that can feel the most solemn, but when understood, can also be met with a sense of profound peace. It's a change in vital signs that tells us the body is completing its work. You might notice their breathing pattern change. It could become very shallow, or there might be pauses, sometimes quite long, between breaths. This is known as Cheyne-Stokes breathing, and while it can be alarming to see, it is not a sign of suffering. The body may also feel cool to the touch, especially the hands and feet, as circulation focuses on the most vital internal organs. Their pulse may become fainter, and their blood pressure will naturally lower. These are not signs of a medical crisis that needs to be fought. They are the signs of a life closing, naturally and gently, like a flower at the end of a long, beautiful day. Now, having walked through all of this, I want to take a moment to bring our hearts back together. The purpose of sharing all this isn't to make us sad or to frighten us. It's to empower us with understanding. When we can recognize these signs for what they are, not as frightening symptoms, but as part of a natural, sacred transition, we can stop being afraid. We can replace our anxiety with compassion. We can shift from trying to fix what cannot be fixed to simply being there, offering the profound gift of our love and presence. Knowledge like this is a form of preparation. It allows us to focus on what truly matters in those final months and weeks, ensuring our loved ones' comfort, honoring their dignity, and expressing our love in ways that are gentle and fitting for the journey they are on. It allows us to say the things we need to say, our I love you-s, our thank you-s, and our it's okay to go-s. It helps us create an atmosphere of peace, free from the panic of the unknown. So, my dear friend, if you take anything away from our time together today, let it be this: you are not alone in navigating this. Understanding this process is an act of love, one of the deepest there is. It allows us to walk this path with grace, with courage, and with an open heart. I would be so honored to hear your thoughts or your own experiences in the comments below. Sharing our stories is how we support one another. If this conversation was helpful, please give the video a like. It's a simple way to let me know you'd like more talks like this. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so we can continue this journey of learning and living well together through all of life's seasons. Thank you for your time, for your open heart, and for the love you so clearly carry for those in your life. Until we talk again, may you find peace in the understanding, and may your days be filled with gentle moments and profound connections. Here's to living and loving with our whole hearts, right to the very end.